Welcome to the deep dive. Brazil is, well, it's really having a moment right now, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's navigating this tangled web of environmental leadership, global trade issues, domestic politics.
Exactly. It's all intertwining in a way that's just, well, crucial to understand right now.
Ah,
And today we've got a really fascinating stack of sources. We're going to unpack this multi-layered story of Brazil's current challenges, but also its opportunities.
yeah, from hosting this major climate conference,
Right.
dealing with these pretty high stakes international trade tensions and, the usual internal political dynamics.
Hmm.
So our mission here really is to connect the dots for you between all these things that might seem separate at first glance.
Yeah, show how they all feed into the bigger picture of Brazil's influence, its future direction.
Exactly. Giving you a quick but hopefully thorough understanding of these critical intersections. It's about seeing the whole puzzle, not just the pieces.
Okay, so let's dive straight in. First big piece. Brazil's ambitious role hosting COP30, that's set for November in Belém, right in the Amazon.
Yeah, and leading that effort is Anna Toni. She's got quite the dual role, executive director for COP30 and national secretary for climate change.
Her background is pretty extensive too. Loads of negotiation experience, Greenpeace, Instituto Clima y Sociedad. It's quite a path she's taken.
Definitely.
And Brazil isn't just, providing the venue. They're bringing this concept mutorão.
Ah, yes, the indigenous Portuguese word.
Right. It means collective, empathetic, solidarity-driven action. But they're modernizing it, adding tech, AI.
Which is fascinating. It's like they're trying to shift the whole global climate conversation.
How so?
Well, away from just top-down mandates towards something more grassroots. But enabled by technology, it could genuinely reshape how these agreements are made.
Blending ancient wisdom with modern tech, you mean?
Precisely, for global impact. And what really strikes me about Anna Toni's view is her directness. She says climate change isn't some future problem anymore. It's something we feel on our skin right now.
Yeah, she gave those examples, didn't she? The 45-degree heat in Europe.
The terrible floods in Rio Grande do Sul, the Amazon fires, it's undeniable, which raises that big question, how do you bridge that gap between a huge global conference and what people feel every day?
Like installing solar panels on your roof back to maybe some policy decision made years ago?
Exactly. It's a real challenge of perception, making that link feel tangible.
And speaking of challenges, Tony also talked about the practical stuff for Belém, logistics.
Right. Transportation, hospitals, though she did praise the public health system, the SUS, called it a masterpiece.
She did, but she was clearly frustrated about accommodation costs, said they were extremely elevated.
You could almost hear it in the source material.
Yeah. And the perception issue, too, people thinking Belém is just jungle, forgetting it's a city of, 1.4 million?
Bigger than many European cities, potentially.
And she contrasted that with Dubai, where apparently no one blinked at the high prices for their COP.
Is that frustration just about the cost, though? Or is it deeper, like you said, a perception battle?
I think it has to be.
Yeah, I agree. And that ties into this significant contradiction, doesn't it? Brazil leading climate talks while also considering new oil exploration.
Right, in the Foz do Amazonas Basin.
But Tony frames it cleverly, not just Brazil's contradiction, but a global one, acknowledging how reliant we all still are on fossil fuels.
You mentioned France, Norway.
Exactly. France with its 65% fossil fuel mix, Norway exporting huge amounts despite its own clean energy use. Her point seems to be, let's move past just pointing fingers.
And find different solutions for different countries.
Precisely. It requires a more nuanced global chat about this energy transition.
So given all that complexity, what are the next steps for COP30? Did Tony give any specifics?
She did. Mentioned real progress in Bonn, 44 out of 46 texts advanced. That's not nothing.
Okay, that sounds positive.
But the huge challenge, the elephant in the room, is money. Mobilizing that $1.3 trillion needed for developing countries.
Wow, 1.3 trillion.
Yeah. And linking the action agenda with the global stock take, basically, figuring out where we actually are and pushing countries for more ambitious climate pledges, the NDCs.
Sounds like juggling a lot of balls in the air.
It really is. And when you think about Tony's own journey, from being an activist back in '91 to running this massive conference.
Gives her a unique perspective, surely.
I think so. She admits you always leave these copies feeling like you didn't get everything done.
but there's still important steps.
That's her view. Important steps forward. She highlighted how much awareness has grown over 30 years, even if, shifting a whole high-carbon economy super fast is incredibly hard.
So it's not about optimism or pessimism.
Not really, no. Her conclusion was more about having the energy for change, that persistence, that incremental progress.
Okay, let's shift gears now. Dramatically. International pressures.
The Trump tariffs.
Yes. The announcement of a potential 50% tariff on Brazilian products. The ripple effects are, well, they're significant.
This is where it gets really juicy, isn't it?
It does. So, our sources lay out Trump's three main justifications. First, remember the legal process against Bolsonaro. Trump flat out called it a witch hunt. That was reason one.
Okay.
Second, Brazil's Supreme Court decisions on regulating big tech platforms. Trump framed it as violating free speech, hurting American social media companies.
Right, the free speech angle.
And third, he claimed this unsustainable trade deficit with Brazil.
Which is interesting because
our sources confirm it doesn't exist. The U.S. has actually had a trade surplus with Brazil since 2008.
So the justification is shaky at best.
And when pushed, his quote was apparently just, "I do because I can."
Wow, that's blunt.
It is.
But this points to the domestic side too, right? The pressures Trump might be feeling back home.
How so?
Well, these tariffs are apparently quite impolitic in the U.S. Think about it. Brazil supplies, 70% of U.S. orange juice?
And 1 in 3 coffees, the sources said.
Exactly. Suddenly, breakfast costs more. That hasn't gone down well with the American public, apparently.
No, I bet not.
And it's actually fueled U.S. inflation, the biggest jump in 6 months, according to the sources. So it's hitting consumers directly.
Right. So in response, the U.S. Trade Representative, the USTR, they've opened an investigation into Brazil.
The commercial investigation.
Yeah. And Brazilian diplomats are reportedly seeing this as a potential honorable exit for Trump.
A way to back down without looking weak.
That seems to be the hope.
Yeah.
The investigation uses a 1974 U.S. law, could take months, even years.
Buys time for negotiation, basically.
And potentially allows for more targeted tariffs, not this blanket 50% thing.
Yeah.
But is that likely? Is it a real off-ramp or just wishful thinking?
Well, it's certainly what the diplomats are hoping for. You know that online meme, the Trump always chickens out, or taco one?
I've heard of it.
Apparently, it really gets under his skin, which, might suggest he does need a way to climb down diplomatically. But the diplomats themselves admit it's optimistic. The 50% tariffs could still very much happen on August 1st. It's a gamble.
A delicate situation. And all this international pressure, it connects back to internal Brazilian politics, too.
How's that playing out?
Well, a federal deputy, Raymond, from the Workers' Party, has actually requested an investigation, preventive arrest, and even extradition of Eduardo Bolsonaro.
Jair Bolsonaro's son. On what grounds?
The request uses a specific law, Law 14.1972021. And the irony is...
Let me guess. Signed by his father.
Exactly. Signed into law by Jair Bolsonaro himself. It targets actions against the democratic state and national sovereignty.
So what are the specific accusations against Eduardo?
2 main things. First, allegedly working with the Trump team to get these tariffs imposed on Brazil. The request calls it an act of treason, basically, designed to harm Brazilian industry.
Wow, that's serious.
And second, accused of spreading coupist rhetoric against Brazil's elections and institutions, but doing it from the U.S.
It's quite a legal tangle.
It really is.
And stepping back again, there's another layer here, isn't there? This web of personal connections.
Ah, you mean Susana Cordero Guerra.
Yes. The economist, former head of IBGE under Bolsonaro, married to Elbridge Colby.
Who's number 2 at the U.S. Department of Defense.
Right. And she's also friends with Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner, godmother to one of their kids, apparently.
And now she's taking up the vice presidency of the World Bank for Latin America.
It just highlights how complex these things are. Personal ties, political links, economic power. It's all interwoven in these high-level international dealings.
Definitely paints a picture. So, okay, we've covered a lot. Global climate stuff, trade wars, domestic politics. What does this all mean for you, the listener, trying to make sense of it all?
It's a lot to take in, for sure.
And with COP30 getting closer, if you want to deepen your understanding of the climate crisis specifically, there's actually a great resource we found.
Oh, yeah, that list of readings.
Exactly. 30 essential readings on climate change, curated by experts like Carlos Nobre and Claudio Angelo, covers fiction, nonfiction articles, even graphic novels.
And what's really insightful is why they recommend literature, not just reports.
Right. Carlos Nobre said these works give important information and awareness about the risks, showing the urgency.
And Claudia Antunes made the point that stories can touch the reader more deeply. They humanize the crisis, connect cause and effect in a way raw data sometimes can't, builds empathy.
That makes sense. Carolina Dantas also pointed out how different authors and genres offer complementary views.
Yeah, exploring problems and solutions. And she mentioned how literature can even remind us that, humanity had different ways of relating to nature before the Industrial Revolution.
Prompting us to rethink things, maybe find inspiration in the past.
Exactly. It's not just about future doom and gloom.
So what kind of things are on this list, without listing all 30, obviously?
Well, it's really diverse. You've got impactful sci-fi like Kim Stanley Robinson's The Ministry for the Future.
There are good things about that one.
Yeah. Then crucial science, like the big IPCC reports, and Piers Foster's Global Climate Change Indicators 2024 described as the most current climate X-ray.
Central stuff.
Definitely. Plus, powerful Brazilian works like Eliane Brum's Banzero Ocoto on the Amazon, and even graphic novels Agua Ate Aqui about the Rio Grande do Sul floods, really bringing those human stories forward.
Sounds like a fantastic resource for context.
Absolutely.
So wrapping up our deep dive today, it's clear Brazil is in a really intense, busy moment. Juggling environmental leadership, navigating these powerful international economic forces, facing internal political fights all at once.
It's a real balancing act.
It is.
And the common thread, I think, through everything we've discussed is just how interconnected global issues are now. Brazil is such a clear example of that.
Climate policy affects trade, trade affects politics, politics affects climate.
Exactly. Each piece impacts the others. Understanding those links, those nuances, is really key to grasping Brazil's evolving role, and it's an increasingly influential role on the world stage.
And maybe the biggest takeaway for you listening is this. What Brazil's going through shows that real global leadership isn't just about making policy in one area.
No, it's about navigating this incredibly complex web, internal pressures, external forces.
It kind of challenges that idea that countries can just separate their problems into neat boxes, doesn't it?
Totally. It reminds us how deeply environmental responsibility, economic sovereignty, and democratic stability are all linked together.
So maybe a final thought to leave you with.
Consider this. As Brazil tries to balance its own national interests with the health of the planet, how might its strategies, its successes and failures offer lessons, or perhaps warnings, for other nations, especially as they face similar pressures in our, well, very interconnected world?
It really feels like a global blueprint being drawn up, doesn't it? For better or worse.
It certainly does. A space to watch very closely.